Good evening. Before I start, can I ask a favor, please? Don't take any picture. This is relating to my security as well as my ministry. Thank you for your understanding. I know that it's very hard for you. So if you really need a picture, I think that you can use this one. Okay. Now we can really start. There is student movement like InterVarsity USA and Canada in over 160 countries, which together make up the International Fellowship of Evangelical Students, or IFES. In the IFES, I have the honor to be the regional director for the InterVarsity movement in the Middle East and North Africa. Usually when we talk about this part of the world, our first question comes in mind if anything good can come from that region. My answer to you is come and see. I would like to share with you tonight a story of a young man from my region. This student comes from North Africa. We can call him Ghassan. Ghassan grew up in a Muslim family like all of the young people from his country. And he was a practicing Muslim. Ghassan left at the age of 18 to study architecture in Paris. And at the end of his studies in Paris, he met some young Christian student like you. It was a new discovery for him because he had never met any Christian believers before. And also because in Ghassan's mind, all Western society is Christian. Ghassan was invited to some meeting that talked about Islam and Christianity. Later, he admitted that sometimes the main reason for going was to try to shake the Christian student faith and to cause trouble. But Ghassan was always surprised by the attitude of love that he discovered in people he talked with. At that point, Ghassan asked himself, why these believers are different than me? Why are why are my intention not as positive as theirs? And why do I have so little grace toward them? These questions stayed in his mind once he returned back to his country. He started to work as an architect while deciding to stay in touch with these students who had impressed him. Several months later, he decided to get in touch with a Christian family who lived discreetly in his own country. He began to attend a Bible study every Sunday evening. 3 months later, during one of those Bible studies, he decided to follow Jesus. Of course, he didn't want to share this news with his practicing Muslim family. This situation lasted for a while, until the day that his older brothers secretly followed him all the way to the Bible study meeting place. He knocked the door, and the person who organized the meeting opened the door. And his brother asked if Ghassan was there. The Christian friends invite him to enter. And when his brother entered, saw Ghassan sitting at a table with the Bible opened, he understood everything immediately. He stayed 5 minutes, saying that the only reason for his coming was to know with whom his brother was in touch. The next day, his big brother came to his home workplace and asked Ghassan to break all contact with his Christian friends. And he gave him 1 week of reflection. If after the week there has not been any change, he will tell the whole family about Ghassan's conversion to Christianity. The week later, Ghassan's answer to his brother was, "I haven't gone forward, just to turn around and go back." That very night, the brother shared with the family about Ghassan's conversion. A dramatic situation happened. His father decided to kick him out of the house, and even said he would kill him. Ghassan went first to his big sister's house. Then 3 days later, found out that he also had to leave from her place because she could not go against the family decision. The same week, Ghassan lost his job. His colleague in the architecture office was informed about his conversion, and so they asked him to leave. During that same week, Ghassan received 3 death threat letters from the Islamic movement in his country. And when he arrived at the church on Sunday morning, there were 2 people there waiting for him. It was a miracle that he was able to get into the church before they got him. Then, the same day, the pastor of the only church gave him 24 hours to leave the country because the situation has become dangerous for Ghassan and for the church as well. Ghassan had to leave the country the next day. So this young man from North Africa found himself during the winter time going a farm far up in the mountain in Switzerland, surrounded by snow. In 1 week, this brother was suddenly isolated, sent away from his country, threatened with death, and lost his job. He never thought that the Christian life will be like this. After 4 months, he decided to start his theology study. 5 years later, when he had completed his theological studies, the French InterVarsity asked him to coordinate the work among the Arab and Muslim students in France. This was a unique experience which lasted 10 years and greatly reminded him of his own past, because now he is the one reaching out to Muslim students in Paris. Since 2002, this person has been the regional director for InterVarsity for the Middle East and North Africa. I think that you may have guessed this, in fact, my story. Yes, friend. I was the Muslim student who came to meeting and make trouble by asking Christian difficult questions. Forgive me. And the one who was followed by his brother, and who lost his job and left his country the same week. But I'm not the only one with a story like this. I can share stories about other people as well. About the Christians, brothers I know, who was disinherited, lost his job, lost his friends. About other brother, his wife left him after his conversion, and now he cannot see his kids anymore. About other brother, he was executed by his own family, giving his life for Christ. There are thousands of Ghassan stories like this. But if I am here today, it's not only to tell you my story. It's not only to tell you stories about people who come from Islam. If I'm here today, because I know that Urbana is one of the largest mission convention for students. And because our call as Christians is for all students who are around us, including the Muslim students. If I'm here tonight, it's because your country has the largest population of Muslim international students in the world. If I am here tonight because you may have in your campuses 1,000 of Ghassans from Saudi. If I am here tonight, it's because you may have in your campuses 1,000 of Ghassans from Iran. If I am here tonight, because you may have in your campuses 1,000 of Ghassans from Turkey and from other Muslim countries. How many of you know that in the States, last year, there were more than 60,000 Saudi students? Some people even talk about 100,000 Saudi students. How many of you know that in your country, there were over 11,000 of Iranian students? And there were almost 11,000 of Turkish students. These students have traveled Greece distance and now have come to your country, live in your neighborhood, have enrolled in your universities, and moved into your residence hall, and now eat in your dining commons. My friends, you can't find any mission field more accessible than that one. Are you conscious about this? This means, for me, that the mission is here, in your continent. This means for me that the mission is here in your country. This means for me that the mission is here in your state, in your own town. The mission is here, right here, in your university, in your classes. You don't need a visa to be in touch with them. You don't need to learn a language. They speak always our language or your language. You don't need to travel so far. You don't need to go to the mission. The mission has come to you. This also means, dear brother and sister, that we have no more excuse. We have no more excuse. I know that some American newspapers have started to ask, what should we do about Muslims? We can just answer, sharing the good news with them. But instead, we should ask also, what would God like us to do as Christians? Or maybe we can ask also this question. Why has God sent these students to our country? Why? Why has the mighty God sent these students to our university? I'm sure that some of you are afraid of the presence of these students, Muslim students in America. And I understand that. But let me say, if we feel that we don't have enough courage to share with them our faith, if we feel that we don't have enough love for them, if we feel that there is no hope for them, are we at least able to begin to pray for them? Prayer is another aspect of mission, if not the most crucial part of mission, and something all of us can do. But let me add what I'm really afraid of. I'm really afraid of is our passivity. I'm really afraid of is about paralysis. I'm really afraid of it's about our hostility. It's about our lack of will to share the good news with people who desperately need to hear it. We are aware, or I can ask the question differently, are we aware that this is a unique opportunity to share the message of grace? Are we aware that this is a unique opportunity that has not existed in any other country? Are we aware that these students are the elite who may one day be leaders in the Muslim world? Dear brothers and sisters, we can change the world from where we are. We can start the Arab Spring, the real one, from our place, right here in the States. My friends, there are Gassans in our university campus who are ready to hear Jesus' call, like I was. Will you look for them? There are thousands of others who have never even met any Christians. Will you welcome them in the name of Christ? Just remember, the Muslim students who decide to come for study are also those who are more open to hear and to respond to God's call. Let me say, perhaps the next, or maybe I can say, let me dream, the next leader for InterVarsity in the Middle East, or why not even the next leader of InterVarsity USA is right there in your campus. The future leader is a student from Saudi or from Iran, and he has not yet heard the gospel. Will you pray for him? Will you pray for ourselves to have enough faith? Will you pray for ourselves to have enough courage, enough strong and perseverance, and enough humility to be one who will witness to them? Dear brother and sister, the world is at our door. Will we open our door? Will we invite these Muslim students to enter in our homes, to enter in our dorms rooms, to enter in our lives, to enter in our heart? If we do, we will be given their trust. And we will find that behind the face of a Muslim is a man or woman who is much like you or me, created in God's image, who is loved by God, and who are we invited to love him as well. And only through that can the Muslim learn that Jesus is truly unique. Jesus is truly unique for his life. Jesus is truly unique for his teaching and his love. Truly unique for his death and resurrection. Truly unique as well because Jesus Christ is the only one who can reconcile people to themselves. Truly unique because Jesus Christ is the only one who can reconcile people with their neighbors and to God himself. And we know this message. You see, dear brothers and sisters, to be witnesses to Muslims, we don't have to be specialists. We just need to be Christians, living the gospel before we preach it. To be the fifth gospel, the living good news. This is what the gospel means to our Muslim neighbors. I am happy to hear that InterVarsity has ministry among Muslim students. But how many of you know about it? The harvest is still big, and there are still few workers. How can I conclude? The theme of this Urbana is, what story will you tell? But my question to you is, where do you begin to tell it? When you plan to begin to tell it? This year, next year? And where? And in the story of your Muslim friend's life, my hope is that you will be not just the teller, but the writer of their stories with God. That means that you are a part of it. God may indeed be calling you to move to other countries, but God doesn't not intend for ministry to only be over there. The ministry can begin here and now. If you see your mission as beginning outside of America, nothing should stop you for starting before you move abroad. So, dear brother and sister, I want to invite you to go home with a new vision, to go home with a new heart, to go home back to your universities and neighborhoods, to go home and starting there, making disciples in your own Jerusalem, before thinking about going to the end of the earth. Go home making disciples not only of America or of Americans, but in America, to make disciples of every nation. Dear brothers and sisters, we can reach the end of the earth from here, from our Jerusalem. May the Lord bless you for his glory.